Joe, is it possible for a dealership to know everybody that's driving by?
Yeah, it's not only possible, it's what we're doing now. We could tell you who's driving by, we can tell you who has an open recall, and we can also tell you how frequently they drive by. Monday through Friday, twice a day. We can tell you if they drive by 5 times a week, or we can tell you if they drove by once this week, if they live 200 miles away, 3 miles away. All that data is provided to the dealership.
From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's the Executive Spotlight.
Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, our guest is Joe Lucenti from Capture Dealer Services. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, Brian, thank you for having me.
So, where did you come in from today?
I drove in from Indiana today, Fort Wayne.
Nice. Yeah, we were just looking at the Fort Wayne dot on our map out there.
So that's why I asked about it.
Well, hey, let's talk about new technology in the dealership, because sometimes that can create issues. You got the old dogs that don't want to change, and you got a lot of times it affects processes. Is it possible to implement new technology in the dealership without forcing a lot of process change?
Yeah, and honestly, look, if your new technology is forcing you to change all your processes on day one, it's probably going to fail. Or at least it's going to have a higher likelihood of failing. You want to find technology that's going to complement the process you already have in place. Mm-hmm. That way you're not redoing the entire wheel with your dealership all in one day.
Interesting. Can you give me an example of like an implementation that how it can move smoothly?
Well, sure. At Capture, we use what are license plate recognition cameras. Mm-hmm. And we put these up throughout the dealership, from their sales lot to their service lot to even the road they drive on. And even though each of these cameras has a designed way of creating sales or revenue for the dealership, it doesn't affect how the salesperson does his job. From the day before we start at that dealership to the day after, their process is the same. Same with the sales manager, same with the GM, and same with the service advisor. We're just there to complement their service.
Now, let's talk about marketing. And all of us have experience with marketing that we just get bombarded with for products that we have zero interest in. Like, me personally, mine's real estate agents. They call me all the time asking if I want to sell my house. And I have no interest in selling my house. So it's annoying. So how can dealerships not be that annoying real estate agent that's calling you about something that you have no interest in?
Well, and that's the $1 million question, because consumers don't hate marketing. They hate irrelevant marketing. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be bombarded with anything that doesn't fit their service or their need or their want. So with Capture, we have a database of over 250 million people, right? And then we have data points from anywhere between 500 and 7 unique data points on that individual, what their likes, hobbies, dislikes are. At that point, if a dealership wanted to run a campaign to target, maybe they want to sell a car, mm-hmm. we're going to narrow down that 250 million to those top 5,000 that are most likely to buy. They are ones that would fit the criteria for this need or this service. And also they're the ones who are qualified to make the purchase. And then the third step on there is we're going to create messaging that resonates with that buyer. So, the messaging that you receive, if you were to receive an email from us, would be a little bit different from what I would receive. Mm-hmm. Because you're actually a different person than I. Maybe you hear things differently. Maybe different terms work differently with you. So that unique messaging and that targeting makes marketing feel a little less bombarded and a little less interruptive, and probably a little bit more relevant to the consumer.
That makes sense. I love when I stream television. Like streaming television, the commercials now are so relevant. Like the commercials that you see when you are streaming are relevant to you, and it's things that you want, or things that you would be somewhat interested in.
Yeah.
For me, it's fishing. I see a lot of fishing stuff, but.
Yeah, and for me, I'm always catching ads about cars.
About cars? Yeah. I do get commercials that are for some of the people that advertise with us that are trying to reach dealers, because I'm in this space, so I must be on that list as well.
Yeah, so I'll get that all the time. If I'm online, if I'm on my social medias, all the car dealerships in the area I live are marketing to people in that area, and that falls into me. And since I have that interest, they tend to bombard me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about new revenue streams or expanding revenue streams that people may not think about a lot with marketing. I mean, things are tightening up a little bit. Margins are being compressed. What are some opportunities that you see at the dealership for more revenue?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of different ways to bring in additional customers at a dealership.
Mm-hmm.
For us, as I mentioned, we throw some cameras up at the dealership, right? And one of those cameras is our recall director, which is facing the lot. And all it's doing is it's catching every open recall that drives by your dealership. So if you're a Ford dealership, it's catching every Ford open recall. Then we're going to do that same messaging to target that customer, bring them into that particular dealership on behalf of the dealer. Now, we'll also let the customer know, hey, if this is a critical recall, if this is a safety recall, if this is an optional recall, because all that stuff matters to the customer and we don't want to trick or fool them. But we are going to let them know that this dealership is now going to take care of you, free of charge, because it's a recall. That's no cost to the customer. That'll give the dealer the opportunity to either upsell to the customer or possibly even get them into a new vehicle.
Well, now, you mentioned that the cameras are going to capture the people that have open recalls. Is that people that are driving on the lot? Is that people that are driving by the dealership? Dig into that.
That particular camera is actually facing the road. It's picking up every vehicle that drives by. So if you're on a high traffic road, it's going to pick up every car that drives by you. And we actually can look at the data and tell a dealer if this person lives in your area or not, if they drive by every Monday through Friday, twice a day, so they're going to and from work. Mm-hmm. We can see if they drive by your dealership 30 times a week or they drove by once in the last year. And we can give that breakdown as well. So we know how active they are in your area. That also helps out because if a guy lives 50, 75, even 100 miles away, it's going to be difficult to get them to come in for a recall.
Yeah.
Right. You do want to target very locally on this, but there is messaging that might make that person come a little closer if we see the value in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gave the example of work. I mean, some people might have a 40-minute commute where you wouldn't think of that person as a potential customer, but because they drive by every Monday through Friday, twice a day.
Yeah, that happens a lot in the industry. So someone will drive by a dealership every day because they drive an hour and a half to work. Mm-hmm. And everyone by their house is marketing to them, but they don't have time to look at the dealerships. But the dealership that they drive by every single day, that they see the name of, they see the logo of, they see the cars outside, they've never been marketed to, and all you have to do is get that last touch in now. So now we know this person's someone we should engage with.
Yeah, well, and especially the person that, if it's a 40-minute commute, I would be much more likely to service with a dealership that's close to my office because I'm going to take the shuttle over to my office.
Yeah.
The one that's close to my house would be a terrible fit.
Yeah, and just think about when you get off work too. If you get off at 6 p.m., you could hop over to the dealership and look at a car, but if you get off work at 6 p.m. and then drive an hour and a half home and it's 7:30, you're going to go home and get dinner.
Yeah.
At that point, you're done.
Yeah.
Your day's over.
Yeah, an hour and a half commute, you're not in the mood to buy anything.
No, you're at the house, you're done, it's over.
Yeah. Well, every conversation in America today has to include AI.
Yes.
AI is everywhere, and a lot of people think it's a silver bullet, and truthfully, I think in some scenarios it can be, but not in every scenario. Talk to me a little bit about AI, and does it have a blind spot?
AI is everywhere. So every company is now marketing that they use AI, and that's why you should choose their product. That's why you should choose them. And the term is starting to get overused. It's getting overused to the point where people don't know what they can trust and what AI actually has value or is worth looking into. Mm-hmm. That's where the biggest blind spot ends up coming into play. So with Capture, we do use AI. But AI should be more complemented to the work you're already doing. And although we use the term AI a lot, what we're really doing is math, right? We are looking at equations. We are looking at, what adds up to what. And if you do the math just right, that gives you the best edge. It's like Vegas, right? If we're the house always is the edge, which means the house always wins. It's all about math.
A lot of times I think smaller dealerships look at solutions like this, and they think, boy, that's great for the big guys. That's great for the 500 car a month dealership. That's great for the, maybe even an independent thinks that's only for the franchise dealership. Talk to me about how a smaller dealership or even possibly an independent, could benefit from using this type of technology and how you help them.
Sure. Actually, we just came out with a new product for that. A dealer could go to capturelocalauto.com, and we built a all-in-one marketing platform that allows a dealer to manage all of their socials, all of their social ad campaigns, mailer campaigns, physical mailers, email campaigns, everything.
Oh, wow.
And on top of that, they're going to now have access to our full database. So that whole 250 million people that we have, they now have access to. So if they're doing nationwide sales, they have access to. If they're localized, they have access to. On top of that, they're going to get all of our behavioral analytics. They're going to know the right messaging to send to people. They're going to know why someone buys this vehicle and why they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also going to create the messaging for them, create those word tracks for them. They can use their own, of course, but we will have it built in where we'll create the messaging for them and help them run those campaigns. It's going to help make a dealer market a lot smarter than harder, right? And in the end, I think many people could relate to the fact that sometimes we spend thousands of dollars on marketing campaigns that say it's a blast to everyone in the area, and it brings little to no ROI sometimes. And that's what we're trying to get out of. And that this way, with such a low cost program, independent dealers now have the edge to get by that.
I mean that's kind of exciting because it makes it possible for them to compete with the larger dealerships.
Yeah.
I mean it kind of levels the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Again, it's like having a whole marketing team, but now, your sales manager could run it. And he could do it all in one day. He could set all of his social campaigns for the entire month if he wanted to in one day. That probably wouldn't be too smart because the Camaro that you put on the lot that you set on the 1st might be sold by the 30th.
Yeah.
But run the whole week, get them all set up. Heck, how many independent dealers do you look at that don't even have social media? They don't have a TikTok.
Yeah.
They have a Facebook, and if you look at it, they haven't posted in a year.
A year.
Or they have that one, hey, I sold a car to this person 3 months ago, and then it's like they went dark. It's because they don't have anyone managing that aspect of it, or they don't have the tools that are there.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to have, I always think it's funny when you go on a company's website and like their last blog post was 2023, or you go on their social media and they're, like you said, their last post was a year ago. Like if you're not going to do it, then you shouldn't do it at all.
Yeah, well, and you should do it is the reality.
Yes. Yeah.
You just need to find out a way to do it. You need to get a little smarter at it.
Yeah.
Because that is the future. Let's face it, everything's becoming digital.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is. We want to be in the social media aspect because that's where everyone lies. I mean, we all live on our phones nowadays, which what's on our phone? All of our apps. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on X. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're on all these different media sources that now we need to push to.
Yeah. I want to talk about the salespeople a little bit. At one point, I had a company where we would train salespeople and help them develop their own personal brand. And this was a while ago. People have really taken that to the next level. I mean, there are some salespeople out there that don't need to take ups because their social media presence is so strong.
Yeah.
We've kind of only focused on how dealerships as a whole might use some of this technology. Is there something that salespeople can benefit from?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've worked with some of those salespeople you're talking about. I had a sales guy who would literally brand all of his pens to himself, not to the dealership, but to himself. He had his own label, his own logo, everything. He had his own website. He had his own leads. He did everything. And he was obviously the #1 salesperson at that dealership because of all that effort he put in digitally online. If you take like this marketing portal for the independent dealer, we can actually give a login to the salesperson too. And they could link all their social accounts if that's the route that this dealership and this salesperson wanted to go. And they could use that for posting. And then obviously they would have this ability to run ads. They would have this database. They would have all these behavioral analytics, everything just now on a smaller level for their social media.
Man, I mean, that's just truly incredible. You and I were talking earlier about, our experience selling cars a long time ago. And I mean, boy, can you imagine how cool it would have been to have access to tools like that?
Yeah, and when I think about it is I didn't like posting on social media when I was a car salesman. It felt like it was too much work. I don't know why, but I would get a car and I would try to post it. This is very easy. Heck, you could have campaigns that you run on a weekly basis or a monthly basis that now you just go in there and you click rerun.
Oh,
and
nice.
they're there. You have the computer programs that are going to design all the writing for you. So if you are just not good at words,
Yeah.
some of us are not good at words, we can't write. Now the program can say, hey, this is how you talk to people. Use this wording, use this terminology. And if you really don't want to write any of it, just hit the button that says write it all for me, because there is a button that does that, and we'll write it all for you.
You would hope your salespeople were good at using words, but I actually had a salesman that worked for me a long time ago, and I noticed on a contract he wrote, "Thank you for your odor." And so I went back and I looked at the other older contracts, and he had written, he didn't know how to spell order. He wrote, "Thank you for your odor." Like,
every time.
Every time. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and sometimes salespeople are very good talkers, and we're not as good writers.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but just audibly, we're just a lot better. Maybe that's why. This is where we can come into play.
Yeah.
This is also why, autocorrect and everything is in there. So you can definitely spell check your things before you send them out.
Yeah. That is true. The salespeople, you think that everything you say is right, but then you type an email and there's all the line, everything is highlighted where you messed up.
Yeah, or worse, you're using AI to write your email for you, and where it says, insert customer name, you forget to change those brackets.
Yeah.
now you send out this very bad looking email, an unprofessional email, because you forgot to proofread.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah, me too. Well, Joe, is there anything more you'd like to share with our audience today before we go?
Sure. I mean, the biggest thing that people ask me in this industry, especially with these products, and when we're talking about people's data and their information, is compliance. People get very worried about that. Dealerships get very worried about that. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who have been suing dealerships for everything under the sun, right? So they always ask me, hey, I'm looking at all this data you're giving us and all these, word tracks to talk to them. Is this even legal to do? I want to make sure that my dealership is safe. So the answer is yes. Obviously, we wouldn't do it if it wasn't legal. We have giant legal teams behind us, but also that database that we've talked about a couple times, that 250 million people, that's all opted in data. Every single one of those people have opted into marketing. And if we wanted to, we can actually isolate to the exact website that person opted in on. So we can really hone in and say this person opted in. We also do sweeps. We make sure that these are up to date. We make sure when people update their do not contacts that we update our systems too. And we are also make sure we know the laws of every state in the country and make sure we're compliant all around the nation. So to that aspect, yes, 100%. And we keep it compliant to make sure the dealers are safe, we're safe, and the consumers are happy. Because again, we're trying to make not feel interrupted or bombarded or irritating. We want to make relevant marketing that resonates with the buyer.
Well, Joe, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much, Brian.
And thank you for taking the time to join us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, our guest has been Joe Lucenti from Capture Data Services. We hope to see you again on a future episode. This one's Over the Curb and Burning Gas.